Welcome, everyone, to our Survive and Thrive Digital Dive 12 Tuesdays for the holiday season. I am Rachel Perkins, the Education and Outreach Specialist for Texas Oncology Foundation. If you are a cancer patient, caregiver, or health professional and want to educate yourself about the cancer realm, we invite you to subscribe and join us every Tuesday for the next 12 weeks. We are glad to have you all with us today, and we are so excited to hear from Stephanie Broussard discussing happy holidays and how to keep a happy mindset. Now, just a little bit of a foundation intro. The Texas Oncology Foundation is dedicated to providing support to cancer patients in the communities where they live, work, and receive treatment. Through Survive and Thrive programming, the foundation can provide educational events and resources, much like this one, to help build community connections and support all affected by cancer. Now, I have the absolute pleasure of introducing Dr. Stephanie Broussard, who is a compassionate and dedicated licensed clinical social worker supervisor. She's also an advanced certified hospice and palliative care social worker and a certified advanced care planning facilitator and clinician trainer. She received her doctoral degree at the University of Kentucky, and her research interest and capstone focus was on addressing disparities in advanced care planning for Black oncology patients to improve palliative and end-of-life care. Stephanie is a Divisional Director of Integrated Care at Centerwell and Conviva Health and the Vice President of Strategy and Policy for Adjuvant Behavioral Health. Stephanie's valuable insights have made her recognized subject matter expert in her field. Notably, Stephanie was appointed as the social work representative to the Texas Palliative Care Advisory Council in 2021, an ongoing role in which she passionately fulfills. So when you're ready, Stephanie, let's go ahead and have you share your slides and we'll get started.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. So we'll get started. So I was really excited when I was asked to join this series. One of the things that I think is really important is when we're talking about some of the experiences of survivors, sometimes we forget that there are pivotal moments or experiences that sometimes can be a little more difficult than others. And so today I want to talk a little bit about the pursuit of happiness during the holidays. And I think I use, of course, the pursuit of happiness kind of theme, but the reality is we want to talk about the challenges that come during the holidays. How do we approach it? I use happiness, but also we're going to talk a little bit about joy. And so I want you guys to feel free to drop into the chat. I want you to talk back to me. So when you think about the happiness in the holidays, what immediately resonates for you? Drop in the chat. Feel free to share with us. What do you hear when you think happiness for the holidays? When you think about the holidays, what comes up for you? It can bring up a lot of different emotions for a lot of different people. All right, so we're gonna dive in. So and feel free to keep the chat going. What do we think about when we think about the holidays? All right. So we're going to pass up our greetings. As Rachel shared, I am a clinical social worker, and so I'm really passionate about supporting individuals navigating their cancer. Someone in the chat mentioned that for them, it's a landmark. The holidays can be a bit of a landmark because diagnosis anniversaries, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. It's milestones, the fear, the newness, sometimes the uncertainty about the holidays. And so we'll talk about that. But really, the points we're going to focus on today are the importance of mental health during the holidays. And I think that's just in general, but also unique challenges faced by survivors. All right. So understanding the holidays. When we think about the holidays, they can have a very different meaning for different people. Sometimes it's about the time of the year. Sometimes, of course, we're focused on the latter part of the holidays that we think maybe, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's, Halloween, even for some people, all the many, many holidays that are at the end of the year. But the reality is that holidays can mean a lot of different things to different people, and they aren't just subject to October, November, and December, right? And so holidays can happen all year, but there are some things that we have to think about. For some people, they anticipate holidays with joy. They're excited about what's to come. They're excited about all that comes. Maybe it's about community, maybe it's about family, maybe it's about the memories. But holidays can have different meanings for different people. So when you think about holidays, what do holidays mean for you? What do holidays mean for you when you think about holidays? All right. For me, when I think about holidays, of course, I am not navigating a serious illness, but when I think about holidays, one of the things I think about is family. I think about community. I think about memory making. I think about almost kind of trying to create those moments and trying to make sure that we're capturing important time. And so when we traditionally think about, someone said food, fun, and family, bringing childhood joy. I think when we think about the holidays, it's really important for us to remember that the meaning that we assign to it is really specific to us. And I think we have to take those liberties, especially when you're navigating a serious illness, to create and carve out what that means for you. And so sometimes there's the pressure of the notion of what our families say holidays are or what they've historically been in our family. But it's really important that you set out the personal meaning for yourself. I know there are a lot of different cultural and personal significance, but you want to make sure that you identify what those things are for you, but also understand that for some survivors, the holidays can evoke various emotions. And so there are a lot of things that can bubble up. Someone in the chat said joy, someone said fun, but for some people, there's grief. Some people, there's disappointment, there's sadness. But the reality is, for most survivors, there's a little bit of both. There's the fact that two things can be true. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to carry that during the holidays. And feel free to keep saying things in the chat. That's really helpful. So let's talk about the challenges faced by survivors. I have some things here, but I'd love to hear from you guys what you believe some of the challenges are, because there are many challenges that are faced. Some common challenges include the fatigue and just the physical limitations. Cancer treatment doesn't stop if you're still experiencing treatment, just because it's the holidays. There may be a little bit of a break depending on where you receive your care, but for the most part, cancer doesn't take off. And so then there's the emotional stress and anxiety. When we think about the emotional stress and anxiety that can come, there's an array of emotions, as I mentioned. And so that could be whether it is the stress of coming together, because for some people, family functions and being around each other isn't always a happy experience. And unfortunately, family dynamics don't take a break off because cancer is also happening, or it's the holidays. For some people, it could be the financial strain of the holiday season sometimes. And then if you add the financial toxicity of cancer and the burden sometimes that financial burden of cancer as well, it stretches us. It exacerbates those experiences. And then for some people, due to being immunocompromised or to strained family relationships, it can also look like social isolation. Someone put in the chat some of the challenges that they've seen is financial. Seeing loved ones that trigger you, that could be a whole section by itself. The fact that there are some family relationships and dynamics that just trigger you, or even the trauma that we've experienced, our family dysfunction or situations, they don't cease to exist just because it's the holidays. For some people, they're even exacerbated, even if we're not talking about living with cancer. We're just talking about humans having human experiences. Our family systems can be complicated. And so those things still exist during the holidays. And then some of the things that I think we don't talk about often enough is anticipatory grief. There can be some layers of grief that set in the holidays because it's the fear of, will this be my last Christmas? Will this be my last time with them? Where we're processing all the feelings and emotions and so focused on trying to take it in that those layers of feelings of grief can come. And so maybe it's anger, maybe it's, sadness or depression, but maybe it's all the other things that come with grief as well. Sometimes it's even numbness. And so anticipatory grief is absolutely normal during the holidays, but we need to talk about how do we cope and lean through it and move through it. Because what we don't want is for the holidays to come and paralyze you. And what I mean by that is that you're overwhelmed or overcome by the emotion, or feeling like everything's just out of control and you're just trying to grasp at just staying afloat. Someone put in the chat, it can feel like an emotional roller coaster. And so knowing that all of these things particularly can come, how do we plan for it? How do we make sure that you're equipped with what you need to cope and navigate the holidays well? And I put the ellipses here because I believe there is no list that I could ever create to capture all the things that could possibly be challenging for the holidays. Somebody put faking happiness. I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but I think that's a big one. I think, unfortunately, because of the idea and the anticipatory grief sometimes, and the notion that we want to capture memories and make memories and keep everybody happy, I've seen survivors feel like they have to shield their real feelings because they don't want to be a downer, or they have to pretend that they have energy or pretend that they feel better than they really do, or even fake happiness to appease the needs of others so that they don't change the vibe of the holiday. And if we're honest, that's probably a burden. How do we find joy? One of the things that I was thinking about when the foundation asked me to talk about happiness, I struggle a little bit with happiness because I believe happiness can be fleeting, and it is not also always long term. But I think joy is something that we can try to capture and almost hold on to, even when the circumstances are changing. Someone put in the chat, I definitely feel anticipatory grief. Thank you for putting a name to it. And I think that's really important. I wanted to kind of circle back just to that, to call that out, is because I've been a therapist probably for, um, I didn't realize it, almost 20, no, 17 years, 16, 15, 17 years, something like that. And one of the things that I've always done is serve people who are living with serious illnesses. And one of the things that I've found is that oftentimes the anticipatory grief is greatest at the times of the seasons that matter most. The things that maybe gave us the greatest joy often feel like the most difficult times to navigate because of what it means about, it's almost like the fear of missing out, and trying to support our family and trying to support our friends, but also our needs and the awareness sometimes that you may have about the circumstances. And so I'm glad I was able to put a name to it for you, because I think that's really important to be able to understand not only is it something that's normal, but also you're not alone. And so I've even had some patients where we're going to talk about just in a second, like we have to make a plan to navigate it because those feelings are really real. So tips for finding joy. I think it's important to set realistic expectations, not only for your family, but really for yourself in regards to your physical ability, maybe your physical limitations, your needs, and being honest with those who love you about what really you need for the holiday season, what you're capable of doing. And it's okay to set boundaries for yourself, but also it's okay to have really good intentions and not be able to carry those out. And so I think it's important that we set really realistic expectations. Someone put in the chat, finding happiness and setting boundaries, being a caregiver and an empathetic person. I think that's so, so important. But when we think about setting realistic expectations, I think it's important for us to first be honest with ourselves. What can you do? What do you want to do? What's important to you? And then from there, deciding, okay, what do I need to be successful at doing that? Who can I lean on in my family to aid in my desire to do that? For example, if it's really important for your family to have a traditional meal, but you no longer have the physical ability to provide that meal and prepare it maybe as you've always done, what things can you do to implement to ensure that still happens for your family? First is acknowledge that it's something that you want, and then be willing to lean on other people. And maybe that means that you're just the guide. Maybe this is an opportunity for people to learn how to make the meals that you make normally, and you guide them through that from a chair, and you're walking them through those things. Maybe you're not the person that's actually baking the cakes and making the turkey, but you're passing on that insight of what does it look like to bake a turkey? What do you need to do? What's the right seasoning? But that's still you being a key element to that, but it just may look differently. But also, it's also part of legacy building, meaning that people are getting a quiet learning from you. They're spending that time getting information from you that maybe you were the only one to hold. And so it may look different, but it's setting realistic expectations for yourself about what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. Okay. And being willing to lean on others. One of the things I've found in my family is that just because you're the person who's always made something, they may not make it the way you did, and it may not always taste the way you made it, right? It may not be as good, but the memories and the sharing that can happen when you're able to set that expectation that you have some limitations allows for others to make memories as well. And not being too hard on yourself when you do set those realistic expectations. Creating new traditions is really part of that as well. Maybe your needs this holiday season may look different, right? So maybe what you've always done, you're no longer able to do. So how do you modify that approach and still make new traditions so that you can be a part of them that meet your needs, but also extending yourself grace and the boundaries that you need to be safe? And so being open with that, I can't say enough about how important communication is with your family system or your support system or your community so that they can understand what your needs are and what's important to you. But you can't communicate those things if you don't first sit with yourself about what's important to me. What are the things that I really want to experience and want to share? Someone put in the chat, we have friends visiting from out of town this weekend, and before they arrive, I'm going to discuss realistic expectations for the weekend. Absolutely. Absolutely. First, with yourself, what is it that I feel like I can do? What are the things that I understand my abilities to be? What makes me comfortable? Are there some things you need to consider, as far as feeling tired or your nutrition needs or your hydration needs, those kind of things. And then also then conveying those to the people that care about you, because that makes for a better experience for anyone. And then prioritizing self-care. Oh my goodness. As soon as I said that, somebody put in the chat, I just started saying I'm not okay, and that's okay. Self-care is needed for me now. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is okay to identify that you're not okay. Cancer does not just impact your body, it impacts your your emotions. It impacts all of you, your spiritual well-being, your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, and even your systems, right? Even the people in your family system or support system are also impacted. And so it's really okay to say, I'm not okay, or today has been really hard, or this season is really difficult for me, and acknowledge that and be okay with that and say what you need. One of the greatest elements of self care, I believe, is identifying that you have a need and speaking up. And I think, the historical nature about self care being selfish is not true. It is about what do you need and verbalizing that, and then having the empowerment and the vulnerability to lean into that for yourself as well and allow others to support you if needed. And then one of my favorites is practicing gratitude. The reality is that literal science shows that your brain responds differently when we're practicing gratitude. And I am aware after being walking alongside those navigating cancer for a very long time that sometimes when you are facing these experiences and the holidays and all that comes with it, it can be very difficult to find something to be grateful for. Sometimes the cards suck and you're disappointed and you're upset and you're frustrated and you're angry. So practicing gratitude and hearing things about like being positive can feel like toxic positivity, where we're saying ignore all those negative feelings like they don't exist. And that is not what I'm saying here. What I am saying, even if the disappointment and the frustration or the grief exists, we should also try to figure out where's an opportunity for gratitude, because it helps our brain, it gives us endorphins, it helps with our outlook and our perspective. It doesn't mean we ignore all the feelings that exist, but it's the practice of and, meaning that I can be angry and grateful. I can be disappointed that I have all of these symptoms in survivorship that I have that I didn't anticipate, but grateful that I am in survivorship. I could be frustrated and uncertain and navigating uncertainty, but I am grateful for today. I may not be able to do everything that I can for the holidays, or this may look very different, but I'm grateful that we have this holiday. And so, what are the opportunities for gratitude? They don't have to be big things, they can be small things, but our brain does something when we practice gratitude. Someone put in the chat, I smile every morning and it completely changed my outlook, even if it's forced, right? And I know people think a little bit, that fake it fake it till you make it perspective for some. But I believe it's really just retraining our brain to say, These circumstances may be unfortunate, they may be difficult, they may be scary, but today I'm going to just choose joy in the midst of it. And that doesn't mean we ignore the negative feelings that come. Yes, just masking all the emotions in front of others. Now saying no mask this holiday season, absolutely. And one of the things I think that's really important is that um, oftentimes we feel like wearing the mask of our emotions is what's necessary to keep our family safe or to keep them happy. But when I've seen the most opportunities for connectiveness is when we have those opportunities of honesty and your family gets to lean in and support the honest reflection of where you are, the honest needs and the vulnerability of where you are. And there's so much power in that vulnerability. It allows people to try to show up for you in the way you need. But even if they don't know how to show up for you, it allows you the opportunity to verbalize what you need from them. All right. So that brings us to the importance of connection. So one of the things I think that's really important is reaching out to family and friends. Cancer can be isolating. Sometimes people don't know how to show up for you. It can be very lonely. That people may not know what you need, how to care for you. And you should. And I've heard people say, "I don't have to reach out. People should be reaching out to me. I'm the one with cancer." And that may very well be true. But one of the things I think is really important is when navigating cancer, there's not a lot you can control. So control the controllable. If you want people around you, if and you know who those people are, reach out to them. Let them know you want them in your space. Let them know you would like to spend time and space with them, and control what you can. For some people, that community doesn't exist. For some people, they don't have a large family system. Some people don't have that community. So I want to make sure that we talk about joining support groups and community programs to foster that community, to create that. It may not be the people that share your blood, it may not be the family that you are born with, but it can definitely be the community that you choose. And then engaging with fellow survivors. I believe there's really one of the things we talked about at Survive and Thrive was the power of your story and the power of connecting, making sure that we understand that there are survivors who benefit from our lived experiences or benefit from your lived experience. So making sure that you share the things that you're learning so that somebody behind you may be able to understand. That's why we have the chat so we can hear from each other about what is it that you've done to navigate the holidays? Or what things should I be considering to feel better in the holidays? So engaging with fellow survivors who are like-minded to help have a different perspective and then build a support system. One of the things I think is so important is not being afraid to lean into these communities that exist and build what you need. And that may look like with your own family systems, telling them what you need from them, giving them access to the resources so they can learn to be what you need from them, teaching them how to care for you. But also, even if those family dynamics don't work out and your family isn't what you need right now, being okay with building the support that you need, reaching out and establishing community. So I talked a little bit about gratitude, but I want to talk about mindfulness and gratitude. So I believe practicing mindfulness is extremely important, especially during the holidays, because it gives us the opportunity to take it all in. And so there are a lot of simple mindfulness exercises, whether it is about like grounding and walking on the grass or taking in the senses, engaging all of your senses in the holidays. For example, taking time to take in the smells of what you can smell in regards to the holidays, or taking time to listen to the sounds. Maybe it's kids laughing, or even people arguing, or carolers, or your favorite holiday songs, or opening the windows and listening to the birds. Whatever it is, taking time to engage all of your senses. One of my favorite things to do is grounding. If I'm having a really rough day, I will take my shoes off and just go walk in the grass. And there's something so powerful about just connecting with the earth and grounding. And then also keeping a gratitude journal. I believe in journaling, not just for gratitude. I think gratitude is really powerful because sometimes you can look back when you can't find those things to be grateful for. Keeping a gratitude journal will allow you to be able to reflect back and say, oh, okay, this is something that helps me. This is something that I was grateful for. I didn't think about that. Yes, that's good to remember. But then also just journaling. I do brain dumps. So sometimes when I'm really flooded with emotions or really flooded with thoughts and can't get myself together, I will just write until that pen runs out. And by literally run out, I mean till my brain stops. I don't write like I'm Anne Frank. Nobody's gonna read my diary, but I do write just so that I can empty myself out and free myself of all the thoughts. One of the things I believe for survivors is really powerful is that you get to say to yourself sometimes the things that you're afraid to say to your family. Sometimes out of protection, you won't say to your family, I'm afraid, or I'm concerned this may be our last time, or um, I don't know if I'm getting what I need from my family. But if you're journaling, you can say those things to yourself and get them out. And then sometimes you have the clarity to even be able to process them better. And then focusing on the present moment, being willing to take it all in. One of the things I do a lot with my clients is developing coping skills to navigate the anxiety of all the things that come. And sometimes the uncertainty and the fear can cloud us from taking in the present moment. And so we'll literally just say, stop. Like, how do we stop? How do we train ourselves to stop and take in the moment and just sit in it? And sometimes that's a heavy moment. Sometimes that's a joyous moment. But understanding that the present moment, there is something there that is valid for you, whether it's all the emotions you want to sit in. So people have been dropping in the chat what they do to practice mindfulness and gratitude. I love that. Love Earth Ground, listening to spa music on YouTube. Actually, there are a lot of great meditations and great tools on YouTube. Someone put sitting on the patio, this nice weather feeds my soul. Absolutely. It's something about the wind. And in Texas, it's a little dry wind right now, but there's something, today was a beautiful day. Loving on your animals and pets. We can't talk enough about the power of the soothing comfort of a pet. And then just choosing to stop. We have to stop. There's so many things that can be moving, so much going on, but it's really important to just take the moment to stop and be really present. And then creative outlets. Expressing yourself is so important. So maybe it's through music, maybe it's through art, maybe writing. Those are great outlets for expression. One of the things that our family did, my grandmother's last Christmas, was we took some time to just like sing together and sing favorite songs. And so those were core memories. I don't know if y'all seen the movie. Oh my goodness, it just escaped my brain. Where there's a little girl and she does the core memories and the little balls. Somebody tell me in the chat. Y'all know what I'm talking about, and the balls create core memories in her brain. And one of the things that's when we're expressing ourselves and creating these outward expressions of art, we help to create core memories for ourselves and then even create a little bit of inside out. Thank you, friends. It even allows us to create legacy things that we can look back on, or even our family can look back on when we're no longer here. Engaging in holiday crafts, right? What does that look like for us to create mementos? And then also sharing stories through creative means. And so maybe that's telling stories about your favorite holidays, or whether it's making recordings or songs, whatever that looks like for you. But taking time to really share stories, and even sometimes it's not a story, it's just about what meanings or relationships or what people mean to you. So drop in the chat. What creative outlets do you have? Maybe we need some brainstorming. Help us figure out what are some opportunities that we could use for creative outlets this holiday season. All right. Someone says watching holiday cartoons, holiday movies. Yes, that's a tradition in my family as well. And then we think about, it's important to talk about healthy holiday habits, right? We do need to make sure that we're maintaining our nutrition, and it can be really tough during the holidays, especially culturally. There are some things that are just not good for us, but taste delicious. We do have to make sure that we have nutrition tips, making sure that you understand what are the healthy things, what the things you should look out for, and making sure that you're aware, and then maybe some healthy alternatives. Oh, the chat is booming. We're talking about the things that you do for creative outlets, writing family history. That's so great. Um, Join a Zoom if you travel. That's great. If you can't travel, making sure that there's still ways to engage. At this time, there's so many technology outlets that you can use technology, leverage technology to still connect with all of your family. There are even games, virtual games you can play where everybody's online through phones and Zoom. Cooking, volunteering, absolutely. Part of real gratitude practice is also sharing with others, serving others, walking, cycling, camping, supporting others, yoga, yes, yes, that mind body connection, absolutely. Importance of physical activity. We talked about, somebody said yoga, the cycling, and even hiking. Doing the things based on your abilities to engage and getting some physical activity, even if that's a light walk. You want to make sure that you're doing that. Also, it's really impactful in the holidays because it helps with endorphins. So, what are the things that we can do to help with some limited physical activity and doing something that's safe for you, right? Don't overextend yourself, but you do want to engage in some physical activity. And then balancing indulgent with health. Okay, so y'all know I'm a palliative care girl. And one of the things I believe as a palliative perspective is that we want to do the things that give us joy, that improve our quality of life. So that means sometimes indulging, doing things that we love, eating things that are good to us, and enjoying experiences that are important to us, but making sure that we do them within reason, within balance with our health. And so it doesn't mean if you have to stay away from all the sweets for the holidays, but maybe you just take in a little bit. Someone put in the chat, I try to exercise with friends. It's important to connect with my friends. Absolutely. So maybe repurposing some of the time together to do some healthier activities. I think it's really important. So I've said a lot of things, but I think it's important that we build a holiday plan. Okay. One of the things that I really think is important is it's not enough to think about a strategy. It's not enough to think about the possibilities and the concerns that could come up. We have to plan for them. I'm a realist. The holidays can be hard. And so, how do we make sure that you're equipped with what you need to be successful and have holidays based on what is comfortable for you? The first thing is be open. Be open with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be transparent with yourself. Then be open with your family and community. Be honest with your family and community. Be transparent with your family and community. Be open to new. Be open to different. Be open to whatever comes and extend yourself with the grace for whatever it is. So setting those expectations, being open to also calling an audible. You can create a perfect plan in your mind and then that also not be enough. So be open to the audible. Okay? Identify. You want to identify what you need, what is important to you, the minimum, what's important to you for the holiday. What's most important? Is it about who you're around? Is it about what you do? It is about what you see. What's most important to you? Identify the things that you want to make sure you experience during the holidays. And share those things with those that are important to you so that they can help you execute. But you want to first identify them. And then you want to practice. So sometimes that can look like practicing setting your boundaries. Sometimes that can look like practice explaining to your family what's important. Sometimes that can look like practicing some of the activities, maybe getting ready, preparing, or maybe seeing what your comfort level is. Maybe if for holidays you're used to having a family hike and you haven't done it before, so you maybe want to start incrementally increasing your physical activity. But practice, put something into practice to get towards the implementation of that plan. So I want to hear in the chat, what are the things that you maybe have started to identify are important to you for your holiday plan? Oh, somebody's already ahead of me. Started in the chat. Smells. I burn holiday smells, candles. Absolutely. That smells can unlock those memories. What are the things that you need for your plan? The most work that I think being open is the emotional work, right? Being open, being honest, being transparent, being vulnerable. But identifying usually should be something that may feel a little bit difficult, but also should be a little bit fun. Going out instead of cooking. I love it. Being open to new. I love it. I make space to get away from it all when needed. Absolutely. What are the things that you need? I love it, guys. And we're almost at the end. We are at the end. Oh man, that went by so fast. What I'm gonna do is after this session, what we'll get is you'll get a little copy of that, the slides, and you'll have that little grid. And we really want you to put into practice. What's your plan? Okay. Be open, identify what you need, and then practice. Okay. What do you need in your coping skills? What do you need in your toolbox to be successful? Okay. So that may even look like practicing my coping skills for when things get tense, or practicing my deep breathing for when all the family's around. But making sure that you have what you need. The holidays can be hard, they may be difficult, but I believe they can also include happiness. Thank you guys so much.